Welcome back everyone to more Mario Kart Tour content. We're moving into the second week now of the Peach versus Bowser Tour. So I'm about to see how my rank results ended, and we're going to talk about ranked mode and not just how the entire system plays out, but the specific things that I look into that might have very important implications and consequences for all you folks out there in the audience. So if that sounds good to you all, be sure to drop your support with the channel by leaving a like and subscribing. Alright, so the ranking results are on display. Let's not keep Lakitu waiting any longer, folks. And I got the first place. Okay, very nice. So that means we're in play now for the question block Mii Racing Suit, our very own coin box driver without spending any rupees, and we'll talk about the tickets when we look at the results here. So we get that nice little base points boost there. Very good. And we're back in driver ticket week too. So this was like the perfect storm for sleepers. Hopefully all of you out there were minimally affected by that, but certainly there were some fireworks late in my ranked group. This was not an assured result. Anyway, here we go. Collecting all these rewards. And this is where things ended up. I was in first place. I did my runs on stream on Discord, so if you missed out on that, be sure to join our Discord server. Link will be in the description below. I had 67.5k, seemed secure. The number one player at the time in my group was this person, and they ended up in fourth place. So we see how the surge of scoring, the dominoes began to fall, and then people started making their runs. So this player showed up at midnight, so pretty much 1 hour before the close of ranked mode for myself local time. They one-upped me by 1k. So 1k was a mark where I knew I needed to make some investments, and I was looking through what this player's potential was. They had increased Charge and Chuck based on screenshots I'd taken of my group earlier in the week. They moved into level 6. And in addition to that, they also raised the level on the gold cheap charger. And that produced a 6,000 point increase on the Koopa Cape track. And then I was also monitoring a situation here where we see Lakitu is level 6 and single capped at 765. And when I went over to their driver list, which is something I recommend you do to monitor your opponent's progress, we can see there it's still level 6, but it's now double capped. It's not completely maxed out with the base points. It's at 855. So they have a little bit of work there to get to 870. But we can see that attempts were being made to increase their score on Toad's Circuit T and never came to fruition. But what I did then was I did the maximum amount of moves that I was comfortable. I set my own guidelines going into this week that I'm not going to chase the FOMO. So that meant no rubies being spent, so no pipe pulls, and it also meant that I would not use high-end tickets, right? There was a contingency to put a single high-end ticket on Pauline Party Time if it was necessary for that extra little bit of scoring. And we can see here it wasn't. I kept my run with Pauline Party Time. Actually love Koopa Cape the track, okay? On the initial reaction, my review was a little bit lukewarm, right? I love the theme of the track, but some of the half-pipe mechanics, like that can send you backwards, or that can send you off-road, not synced up with where that pipe is when you go down like the water slide area. Definitely some questionable mechanics there. However, the fact that it is so hard to keep combo and there's so many actions to be had kind of became an addicting little chase for me to see what can my skill top out at, right? And this run was 182 actions, single coin frenzy, 3 single boxes, okay? Which for a tier 2 glider and a level 1 driver, I think that's pretty good, right? I know a lot of folks who have better levels on their inventory were able to get 200 and plus on this, but there's no red coins, so it's just, you know, straight up very hard to get frenzies too. And that was my story there. No investments were made. For Toad Circuit T, I brought Peach up to level 7 in Triple Captor. She was level 5, partially the way to level 6. And I also brought the Birthday Girl just to level 6. And so super tickets and normal tickets, right? Peach is a move that I'm willing to make because not only is she daily selects, the Peach Cup is one of the most prominently featured for ranked modes because she is a staple character of the entire franchise. So it means her middle shelf plays, right? When we take a look at Peach's value, you know, this is pretty respectable here for a day 1 super driver, but all of these factor, right? When they have the Peach Cup in ranked mode, we can see that, you know, things like Royal Raceway RT or Rosalina's Ice World RT or even Sky Garden, a very new track, could be in ranked mode in Peach's favor. For those situations, we see the Toad Circuit T. That is not a part of her favored course value. That's favored course, or what we would call the middle shelf. So Peach is still very valuable in my eyes. I had intended to take her up to level 7 since, you know, midway through last year, just waiting for the correct opportunity. And by holding off on that, allows you to gain the favor over the ranked matchmaking algorithm at a later time, right? So it's not all about just dumping in the tickets to make the moves you want to make right away. Have that long-term approach and just be assured that if you have the ticket count to be able to do it, it will be done, okay? And then I was satisfied with that. Double coin frenzy run. Had a broken combo from Lightning near the end of the race, which was a little bit unfortunate, but didn't cost me the full amount of points, which would be 360 plus whatever missed actions you'd be getting as a result of the drop in the bonus points earned from your glider's combo. So I was sitting at 67.5k there, and the track that I was going to make the upgrades in was there for Vanilla Lake 2. So we took Blue Koopa all the way from level 1. I did it to level 5, and I wanted that extra level of security. So really the difference in kind of what kind of tickets I wasted is really just 4 tickets, with the expectation that Lakitu on their Toad Circuit T run might increase that further. So I went a step above. I could have gotten the run with a level 4 Blue Koopa, but did the level 5 just to be safe. And it's super tickets, right? So the value on them isn't their direct coin value in my interpretation of my inventory, because I don't purchase the super driver tickets anymore, right? Just interested in the high ends, collect the super tickets by other means that are free to play friendly. So very good. I didn't have to invest more into the Ramby Runner. I didn't have to invest into the Candlelight Flight, and I picked up a Mushroom and a Coin Frenzy run. Nearly 22k there. Missed a lot of actions because of the stress of the moment, right? It was less than an hour to go. It was about 30 minutes to go when I picked up the run there. So very good all around. A little bit of drama that I perhaps wasn't entirely expecting looking at my group, but I'm not surprised. Look, a lot of folks out there had to do massive investments. We're talking like 10 plus high-end tickets, not like super normal tickets, like high-end tickets. Pipe pulls on the special pipes, on the week 1 pipe, right? This is very costly, and this is why Nintendo puts, you know, a ranked reward like this. You know, we had the debate leading into this tour, how will this new coin box Mii be represented, and a Turtle Dude was fairly confident it would be a ranked reward here, versus my mindset. I thought, you know, it really could favor perhaps the Mii shop upon first release. He correctly called it because what that Mii suit represents in the ranked placements means that people will be wasting and dumping resources in for this week more than what 70 rubies would garner from anyone out there. And my mindset was probably a little bit too tunnel visioned, which is something I always caution folks in the audience to monitor, in thinking that, well, if they implement this through a ranked reward, I'm going to get it for free, right? I have not played ranked mode in a month, and this is the kind of group that we get as a result of this. I monitored very closely all the other groups that you shared through the Discord, and the vast majority of people in this tier range have scores that are 7 to 12 or 15k more, and that's as a result of the quote unquote skill level or technical ability that the ranked algorithm, the developers themselves acknowledge exists, it absolutely does, because we haven't put in any kind of runs in a month, right? So we're talking low action counts, low scores, and Nintendo's not trying to remove people from the game, right? Like if your ability isn't on that level, they'll find people who are closer in your technical skill level, right? So that's why we don't shame anybody if they're not top level skill. Certainly it takes a lot of effort. I mean, even myself getting back into ranked mode after a month of not playing, it took a little bit longer than usual to like get the lions down, right? So even for someone who has a lot of experience in the game, such as I do, I still find it takes a lot of effort to make those runs possible, right? Like it's not just, it doesn't happen magically. Several hours have to go into this. But the big thing that I want to highlight here and why baking matters, this is a concept that's out there in the community. It's one that I've perhaps had shortcomings in disseminating the true meaning of it, because a lot of times folks see what I do here and like, look, wow, Kevin Garrett picked up the Coinbox Mii Suit with no rubies spent in 2 months, with no high-end tickets spent in over a month. How does he do it, right? And it's like, oh, I'll just like lose 1 week and it will automatically happen. Well, that's not the full of it, right? It's a complete thing. It's your inventory, your skill level, right? The exact placement that you finish, the score. So many things go into this, right? But one thing I want to highlight is when you're doing it all correctly, and if you're never sure if you're doing it correctly, I highly recommend that you join the Discord and have direct conversation with me and the other experienced members in the community to make sure that what you're doing will bring to fruition the things that you want to see in the game. But this player, Moxie right here, this is the one that really emphasizes just how powerful of a concept this is. If we take a look at their player info over here, we can see that they're tier 54 and the high score on their account is 29K. I'd scored 29K when I was tier 35, 36, thereabouts, right? I mean, perhaps even earlier than that. It's truly remarkable to see that this player, having such a low scoring threshold, could make it all the way up to tier 54, all right? Really think about that. If that's their high score, that means all the scores every week in ranked mode have to be below that mark. So 29K plus, you know, a pair of like 24Ks or whatever, that's like saying that somebody scores a maximum of like 75,000 in a single ranked cup. To imagine that going beyond, I mean, there were times when I needed to score like 80, 90K to get a tier up, right? Just based on the tracks that were in play. And the bottom line, folks, is that if you can't score that 80 or 90, 100K, which means getting a single track that can get 40 plus K, right? It's not the end of the world. You just tear down one time. This game has been going on for over 130 weeks, okay? So we can't play FOMO in just one single week and say, oh my gosh, the sky is falling, I can't do it. It's all about looking for the advantage and your disadvantage, right? So shout out, credit to this person because that they were able to make it so far with scoring what they have. But we could see, look, they have so many drivers, so many karts. They're all leveled up to a very respectable standard. So most folks in the audience will look at this and say, wow, I could score so much better with these loadouts. I could score, you know, 40K with these, and certainly you could. And as a result, look at where they are in my ranked group, right? I mean, it's remarkable. That level 5 glider on Koopa Cape and only scored a little bit more than our middle shelf with the level 1. So it's like, you know, you can see how this stuff plays out, right? That would not be in my group if we had gone into it last week. Like, let's say if like one of the Kongs was in ranked mode, which they haven't in now 5 weeks, right? If I had put up all maximum action count potentials, I'm not getting that player in my group, right? So when you're thinking about baking, it's scaled, right? It's based on some standard. Each tier, so tier 54 can sustain players that aren't able to score 75K in a single ranked cup, right? So it's like an entire range of outcomes. And as long as your loadouts are within a certain threshold, and if your skill level in past history is also on a similar low threshold, there's fertility in moving forward, right? That's how it works. That's how a player like that can advance in the game. And that's how, if you are someone who has greater scoring potential skill in the game, you can manipulate some of these things on a week-to-week basis, right? That's not like if you're tier 80, it's like if you score 120K instead of 130K, you're not going to get some softball lineup because 120K is still the maximum standard, right? According to their reference in the matchmaking algorithm, that's not going to make a significant difference, and that's why players in those tiers feel like it's just all RNG, because for them and their specific game state, it is, okay? But just because it is for them, because they're always beyond the threshold, right, doesn't mean that it is for you in the audience. And that's who I'm looking out for, is all of you. So if you're new to this game, if you're someone that struggles with perfect aligns and gameplay, look, you know, I don't show a lot of gameplay. I struggle with it too. It's something that we can share commonality with. But if you put the time in, you will get a lot better. You will get very near the level that you see from all of the experts out there. So with all of that out of the way, I hope you enjoy this episode. Some wonderful context and takes to really show just all of that content that I brought forward about ranked mode, the matchmaking algorithm in the resource masterclass, and other content is still so valid, folks. One last example before we finish up here is that Ace Condor, one of the regular members in our community, he had logged in a few times, but he wasn't playing the game. So he dropped from tier 60 all the way down to tier 40. Wasn't playing tracks, right? So he was dropping 2 tiers every time he logged in. Did this like 5 or so times, right? And then when he started playing again, he would win every single week. It wouldn't matter. He wouldn't have to invest. He wouldn't have to do anything. It was just like a magic carpet ride all the way back up. This is that matchmaking algorithm matrix that I showed in the resource masterclass, whereby he produced so much fertility as a result of his inactivity that it created a situation where he couldn't lose. And if anyone out there was in a situation where they were, you know, tier 42 at the same time he was tier 42, his group would look so much more favorable than the other player. And you might say, well, that's not very fair. And it's trying to bring him back to a closer range of the things that he should be seeing based on his account's strength. And that's all a result of monitoring the player potential that is out there. So there's so many anecdotes at this point on how these systems operate, and all that information is for your benefit. So I do recommend you join the conversation. And with that out of the way, I hope this has been helpful to all of you out there. Leave a like, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you to talk about the week 2 pipe in a special episode, so stay tuned, everyone.